Awesome, awesome. Well, you look great, and so we're going to have for our viewers and all those that are into the history, you both know that a lot of people are kind of into the vintage historical stuff now, which is pretty cool, huh, Jake? Because since we've been around for a long time.
It is really cool. And it's really opened up a whole another niche in the sport, really, because, 20 years ago, there weren't an older generation of bodyboarders because the sport is so young, really.
Yeah.
And now there is a generation of bodyboarders that started sort of near the beginning of the sport, and now they're mid-age and older, and so
grandma's like me.
Yeah, well, sure, and they want to get back into the sport, so it's super cool to see them getting back into it, and in some cases bringing their kids into the sport. So they're really sort of bringing a new generation up along with them and sharing the stoke that they got so many years ago.
Yeah, well, you are probably one of them. And these folks that have never seen or talked to you before are going to find that out today, and it's very, very exciting. So let's get started. Why don't we start with since we go back a little bit further, you and I do, than Vicki, although nothing's better or worse, but tell me your first encounter with me, and I'll tell you my first encounter with you.
Absolutely. So I had just moved to Ocean City, Maryland, from the suburbs of Washington, D.C., a town called Rockville, which is where I grew up. And at age 16, my family, we had been planning it for a while. We decided to move to the beach in Maryland. So I lived about 150 miles inland until that point. And I had just gotten into bodyboarding the summer before. So I couldn't wait to move to the beach so I could really immerse myself in that whole lifestyle. And we moved to the beach in June of 1980. And I saw these posters coming up in different shops and stuff saying that the Maury Boogie Company was coming to town with some California pro riders to do what you then called the Maury Boogie Challenge and Contest. And that was basically encompassing a demo by these pro riders from California on the Saturday, and then a little contest for anyone who wanted to enter on the Sunday. So I had just gotten into bodyboarding, and I was just elated. Here's this group of people from California coming to share their stoke with bodyboarding for our little group of people in Maryland that really had no outside influences at all. There were no magazines, no videos at the time. And so we wanted to be involved. So we showed up, and you were the promotions director for Maury Boogie. And you were there on the mic, and you were getting everybody hyped up and loaning out boogie boards to everybody. And Roger Waller and Tony Prince were there. And I don't know if Scott Evans was there that year. I know he came in subsequent years, but in any case, the waves were really good that day, which is unusual for July in Maryland. And Roger and Tony paddled out, and they were doing stuff on waves that we just couldn't even fathom. I mean, I remember seeing Tony do an El Rolo and just thinking, what just happened? What the heck did he just do? And it was like, as somebody threw fuel on my fire for the sport of bodybuilding when I saw that demo. And you had so much enthusiasm on the mic and on the beach. Everybody was really excited about it. And the next day, we did the contest. My friend Mark Thomas, we call him Buckwheat, that's his nickname. Yeah. He and I had really just become really good friends in that first month and a half I lived in Ocean City. And started bodyboarding together with his brother, Scott. So Mark and Scott and I would get in the water every day on bodyboards, and we did the contest, and that was it. We were hooked. We gave up every other sport we did because you and the crew from California came and delivered that stoke to us. So summer of July of 1980. I'll never forget that day. Amazing.
Wow. Well, that's a good one, and I'll have to say ditto to it because I remember it the same way, except probably not from your eyes. All I remember is, and we laugh about this story, like when we talk about coming to Ocean City, was how I was sitting, like you said, on the microphone talking, and I kept feeling this little sand underneath my seat, like someone was kind of rubbing their feet, you know, wanting to be a part of it. I mean, no doubt about it. They wanted to be a part of it. And I looked around and I go, oh, you know, and you had this big beaming, you know, teenage smile. And I went, oh, you look like you kind of want to be a part of this. Or I said something like that. And you went, really? Like, really? Like, oh, then I think I started having you take vests. I can't remember what the job I gave you, but you were just so stoked. This little teenage boy wanting to help out a Maury Boogie event. It was so cool.
It was an amazing time.
Yeah, it was. It was an amazing time. I just want to chime in here because I like to acknowledge the people that have showed up. Steve Jackson has said it's cold. I guess they got that polar thing going on out there on the East Coast. Too bad, Steve. I mean, yeah, Steve, it's really nice here. Good morning from Hawaii. Now, remember, we don't see who you are, so you can put a hyphen your name if you like, or you can sign up for StreamYard, and then we'll know who you are, like we did Steve. Let's see. We got regards from Portugal. Wow. We're getting a little international.
Oh, boa tardes, or boa noite, I should say. It's evening in Portugal.
Type your name on it if you would, so we can see it.
Yeah.
And then we got Rhode Island coming in. Yay.
Little roadie.
Yeah. All right. So let's figure out Vicki now. Yeah. Where did I meet you? Do you remember?
It's got to have been a BIA, right?
I mean, it's been, you know, because I remember you guys living together and I remember seeing you, but I don't remember actually on a bodyboarding level where we actually met.
Yeah.
I know I wasn't in Australia.
No, it would have had to be maybe at the BIA or,
yeah.
I mean, BIA was before BIM magazine, right? So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Unless it was at Custom X with Debbie or, I don't recall.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I'll just remind the viewers that you can watch this later up on the History Channel, BIM channel, and YouTube will be up on YouTube and my website, pattyserrano.com. And I'm sure Jay will promote it all over the place too, because he's so good at that. So let me ask you first, Vicki, how did you get into bodyboarding? For the new people, the young people, what was it that got you into bodyboarding?
Boys.
Oh, isn't that Jay sitting right next to you there?
Hey, she got me.
No, funny enough is my brother was a bodyboarder in Australia and his best buddy was Eppo. And I was actually dating Eppo. So my brother and Eppo kind of got me into the sport. And I'm from Port Macquarie, and that's like a hotbed of bodyboarding and always has been. And we had Mr. Eppelston, Eppo's dad, Michael Eppelston's dad, that ran the bodyboarding club down there. So, you know, they really encouraged girls to join, and, you know, every Tom, Dick, and Harry to join the club. And it was a fantastic club where, you know, it was basically like, everyone, let's go surf. Okay, we're doing a contest this weekend. Come down. We're going to barbecue some bacon and egg sandwiches on, you know, and it was just like, it was kind of like a club that we were all in. And it was the Port Macquarie Bodyboard Club. And there was actually these clubs all up and down the coast of Australia, which was fantastic. So, you know, me and my girlfriends decided, let's give it a go. You know, we paddle out with my brother and Peter. And yeah.
Now, did they give you some good instruction, or were you just like naturally athletically talented? You know what? I mean, I know you don't want to brag about yourself, but did they actually show you how to do it, or did you learn on your own?
I did. You know, I was sporty growing up. I played soccer and softball and field hockey. And, you know, my brothers were really active. My parents were really active. My whole family played field hockey. So, I loved the beach. So I would go and grab a bodyboard and, you know, I'd do something and they'd be like, oh, you're doing it wrong, Vic. You got to do it this way. Or, you know, get out there. Here comes a set. Come on, paddle harder. You know, so they would encourage me for sure. And, you know, Eppo was Australian champ and, you know, one of the best in Australia. So he was my boyfriend. So obviously, you know, bodyboarding and hanging out with the best, you kind of emulate them and copy them. And so they, for sure.
How do you feel about that, Jay? You know, she got all her early roots from Eppo.
Well, hey, that means something very different in Australia, what you just said. So I won't mention what that means.
I better be careful. Get Australians watching.
I met Vicki when Eppo was off on a surf trip with her brother, Wally.
That's right.
Oh,
But that's another story for
that's
maybe
another one too. Yeah. Wow.
into soon. But yeah, it's awesome. We're good friends with Eppo and his wife Krista
Oh,
from way back. Yeah, they're great folks.
Now you met in the 90s then, so we're going to come up from we went from this 80 you bodyboarded and all that. Now when did you actually come out to California? What year was that?
That was 1987. So I graduated college in 86 with a degree to teach high school science.
Oh wow.
But I really had this dream to be a pro bodyboarder, like the first pro bodyboarder from the East Coast. So right after college, I got an offer to teach high school in Maryland, where I went to college and where I grew up. But I turned it down, and I instead substitute taught and worked at my parents' bakery to save as much money as I could to move to California the following year. So I moved to California, and I arrived on May 1st, 1987. And and I've been here for 33 years now.
Wow. And so you hit San Clemente and you stayed, you didn't go anywhere like Ventura, like Tony did or anything. You stayed right in San Clemente?
Well, not initially. So when I first got here, the only person I really knew well was Dave Kniff.
Oh, yeah.
And Dave was getting ready to graduate college still. I don't know why he was a year behind me. We're the same age. I think he went 5 years or something, or did the long-term thing. But in any case, I needed to wait for him to graduate, and we were going to be roommates. So Mary Lee Christensen and her family opened their home up to me.
Oh,
and I literally lived with Mary Lee and her family for a month in Oceanside. And then when Dave finished college, he and I got an apartment on Marin Street, right at Pacific Street and Marin Street in Oceanside.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just a little, like 4 walls kind of thing and a bathroom. And we had a hot plate, and I slept on a cot and had, just the classic low budge bachelor pad. And I lived there for the first 3 months I was in California, but I found myself, because Dave was working as a lifeguard that summer, and I was driving up to San Clemente every day to surf T Street, because that was a real hot spot.
Oh, yeah.
There was a scene there, and some budding professionals like Cameron Steele and Kevin Baker and Tom Prince. And of course, the history guys like Chris Powers and Tony Prince came from there, and Keith Sasaki was living there too. So, I quickly realized that, I really should be in San Clemente, but I'm roommates with Dave, so I stuck around with Dave, and then he took a job. He kind of dropped a bomb on me that August and said, "Hey, Jay, I just got a job at Club Med, and I'm."
Oh, I remember that.
So
yeah, I remember that.
Where am I going to live? So fortunately, Sasaki and his roommates said, "You can sleep on our couch. You can move in here and live on the couch. And we have a roommate that's moving out in a month, and you can take his room when he moves."
Oh, that was perfect.
Yeah, it was really perfect timing. So I lived on the couch there for the first month, September of '87, and then then I got my own room and lived in San Clemente, and haven't lived anywhere else since. I mean, I'm not still on the couch or in that apartment. Yeah. Still in the same city. Yeah, it depends. Depends on how the day goes with her. Sometimes.
Yeah, no kidding. So, Vicki, how do you compare the waves of where you were brought up in Port McCrory to San Clemente or anywhere here in California? Are they sometimes as good, or how do you compare them?
Sorry. It's funny. I always tell people that a good day here is a crappy day in Australia.
Oh, really?
Really consistent, and such good breaks down there, and lots of good waves up and down the coast. And a good day here at T Street would be kind of an average day at Breakwall or North Wall, or where I grew up. So consistency wise, it's kind of mushy here. Hence the reason I longboard a lot now. I'm a little spoiled. I only bodyboard when it's big and hollow, or some powerful. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm on a longboard. So.
What about you, Jay? What's your Ocean City and San Clemente? What do you think?
Well, Ocean City, when it's good, it rivals anywhere in the world that I've ever been, to be quite honest.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's a powerful beach break wave when it's pumping, and it's good, really good shape, really hollow. But it doesn't get like that super often. And the East Coast, as we all know, goes flat sometimes for weeks at a time. Here in California, I surf 300 days a year. There's something to ride virtually every single day.
Cool.
I'm not always bodyboarding. I ride a longboard and a shortboard, surfboard as well, just to kind of mix it up and have other things in my arsenal that work for a variety of conditions. But bodyboarding is always my first love. And, I love where we live here in San Clemente. There's a great variety of longboard spots, shortboard spots, bodyboard spots. Mm-hmm. And of course, the iconic bodyboarding, historical break of T Street,
of course,
is sort of the center of our bodyboarding during the summertime when it's blackballed. We just love it out there.
Yeah. And then you've also got your running trails out there we see pictures of all the time.
Yes, the running trails are fantastic. We live really close to the trails because we're in the northeast part of town, and there's
nice.
We're protected to the east and the southeast and the south by Camp Pendleton and Rancho Mission Viejo, which are reserves. So there's no building out there. So there's lots of really great running trails, biking trails, hiking.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. So you made it through the 80s. You got through all the, the early stages of the sport. So now we come into the golden years. Now things are starting to pop. Fortunately, I was like absent from that period until 91 when we, of course, started the magazine. But, at that early stage, Mary Lee just took it and ran with it, did a great job. And so now we have and Pat and I talked about this, like the golden boys. We've got, Pat and Ben and you and all this blonde hair, David Kniff, and these Juicy Fruit commercials. And so would you say that, Jay, is your like heyday in the sport, or what was the most? Roger told me when I interviewed him, and I'll never forget this, he said those early days going out, like where you met him and stuff, were his memorial, memories. But what were yours?
Yeah, when I moved out here in 87, the surf industry in general was beginning to explode. Surf fashion was booming, and everyone from coast to coast and everywhere in between wanted to wear surf clothing. So a ton of companies started springing up and selling surf clothing. So what that meant is that translated to more money coming into the surf industry, which spilled over into the bodyboarding world. Bodyboarding magazine had just begun when I moved out here.
Right.
The US Pro Tour had just added a bodyboarding division in the mid 80s, which is why I moved out here so I could compete on that tour. And to me, that is and was the golden era for the sport of bodyboarding. You literally had to try to not get sponsored. I'm exaggerating a bit. That's a bit of embellishment, but my point is it was very easy to get sponsored if you had any sort of profile or promotional skills whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Companies were looking for bodyboarders to add to the team because Bodyboarding Magazine was starting to run ads and they needed riders to, pin their brand on. And me being the first guy ever from the East Coast to turn pro, it was,
that's right.
To sell myself was not that hard, because they wanted East Coast representation. And I was here in California, but, I still always claimed Ocean City, Maryland as my bodyboarding hometown. Mm-hmm. Great. And I knew that. I knew that was my selling point, because, quite frankly, I thought Mike Stewart, Keith Sasaki, who were kind of my mentors or guys that I idolized, I'm not as good as those dudes. So I got to have my niche. What is my niche? I'm the East Coast guy, right? So
moniker, exactly.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So we're in the 90s, and had you been on a cover yet of the magazine yet?
Yeah, so the magazine really wanted to get me on the cover just because of the internal politics of the magazine world. Maury was my main sponsor. Mary Lee had signed me to a new contract. And so Maury was a big advertiser, so they thought, let's get this East Coast guy on the cover. So I worked relentlessly with Aaron Lloyd.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic photographer of that day. And we eventually got a cover shot, which appeared in early 1988. So, less than a year after I moved out here, I got this cover. Yeah.
Of course, they were right in San Clemente too. That helped. That you
definitely did. They were right down the road from me.
And Tom from Maryland saying hi right now. I don't know if you can see that little.
I can.
Yeah.
What's happening?
So, all right. So golden years, Vicki. So now you've come out of your 80s stuff. And was it happening for you now as we approach the 90s?
No, not yet. I had met Jay in Australia, and Keith and Pat, they came to Australia. And actually, I talked about our bodyboard club earlier. They came to visit our bodyboard club. And that's actually when I first met Jay and got his autograph.
Oh, by the way, Patty, if you can cut to me.
Oh, sorry.
Real quick. This is that autograph. Can you read what it says?
Vicki, something, bring it up a little bit closer. Let's get wet together someday. Oh my gosh.
So that's the autograph I signed for her the night we met, which was April 19th, 1990.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many people that are going to probably say something right now, but that's okay. We'll let it rest. In case there's some young Groms watching. Come on now.
Right.
So that was 1990. They came and I got Jay, Keith, and Pat's autograph. And, I had just kind of started getting a couple of local sponsors in Port Macquarie, like a local surf shop called Innovision, and BZ Bodyboards was giving me some boards, and Ocean One wetsuits. So some companies started, hooking me up with product. And when I met them, I was just like in awe because, we got the bodyboarding magazines in Australia.
Yeah.
Saw, these pros in person and, really stoked us out. And I actually got Jay's address and I wrote to him. And then a year later, they actually came back to Australia to compete in a contest in Sydney. And I was actually a judge at that contest. So I met up with Jay again. And actually, you took me out to dinner on that trip.
Oh, you got a good memory, girl.
Yeah, he
invited
me out to an Italian restaurant in the movies, and I'll just abbreviate a little bit. So I you don't want to abbreviate, do you?
Go ahead.
Okay, we're only 20 minutes in. We got time.
So after that, I was in high school. Actually, I was just about to graduate and decided, you know what? My girlfriend and I decided, let's travel around the world for a year. And I said, I really want to stop in Hawaii and try and do the women's pipeline contest. And so we graduated. We graduated and had our ticket to travel around the world. And our first stop was Hawaii. And I get off the plane and there goes Jay walking by. So we always say it was fate. So he's like, where are you guys staying? And we're like, we don't know. So he said, come on out. I know who you could stay with. And we ended up staying with Nick and Alex Gibbs. They were Australian bodyboarders, actually. So Jay hooked us up with accommodation. And we were there for, a month. I did the pipe contest. And in that year, they had board caddies. So Jay was my board caddy. And
wow.
We have a picture of the board caddy action here. Let's see if I can pull it up for you.
Patty posted on.
You got him.
Yeah, it's the one I sent you the other day, Patty. Do you have that?
Oh, the one that we used for the ad?
Yeah, do you have that?
Well, I have it in the system, but all the people have to do is go look at the announcement, and it's right there. In fact, people made a lot of comments about that. Is a beautiful shot of you guys.
Yeah, really. That's when Jay was my board caddy. So I looked at it.
And it's very cool that you got him to, show up at the airport somehow. You got him to put you up somehow. You got him to be your board caddy. So it sounds like he was doing a lot of groveling after you, myself.
So we kind of hooked up there and, stayed in Hawaii for a while. And then we said, we're going to move on. And he's like, why don't you come stay with me in California? Check it out. So my girlfriend and I are like, okay, we'll come for a couple of weeks, stop over there. And we ended up staying 6 months. And so we were really hitting it off. And I continued to bodyboard. And, I think I even got in the magazines, started getting the magazines then. And you know, Jay and I became a bodyboarding couple. And then after staying here in California for 6 months or whatever, my girlfriend who didn't bodyboard was like, come on, let's continue our world tour. So we flew off to Europe, and it just Jay and Paul Roach and Mike Stewart were doing a Moray. It was Moray, right? Moray trip.
Yep.
And
Euro tour.
Euro tour.
Wow.
So, of course, I'm telling my girlfriend, well, we should go check them out in Spain. And, you know, so we followed them a little bit in between, you know, doing the Paris shopping that my girlfriend wanted to do. And, you know, actually did a contest in Spain with Jay there. And, you know, I just wanted to be with Jay and bodyboard. But I had this friend who really wanted to do the travel.
Really a story that I've never heard, and I'm sure other people will really think it's pretty doggone cool. You know, that's really, really cool.
Yeah, and a little side note, you know, I had, you know, saved up to do this around the world tour with my girlfriend, and we were running out of money, and we were actually in Newquay, England, and it was my birthday, and I called my mom, and my mom's like, oh, you wouldn't believe it, Vic. I know it's your birthday. Happy birthday. I ended up buying you some tickets in a raffle, and you won. And I'm like, oh, cool. You know, what did I win? And she's like, you won 2 ostriches. Because my parents were farmers, you know. And so I'm like, yay, what the heck am I going to do with ostriches? But sure enough, my parents had an ostrich farm, a deer farm. So they raised them for me. And, you know, they were worth a lot of money back then. There was a whole industry, you know. Eventually ended up selling them. And just a little side note that helped me continue bodyboarding in the future. You know, I ended up.
Yeah, that's a great story.
So by, you know, August, something like that, I was telling my girlfriend, look, I'm over this. I want to go back to Jay. So we flew to New York from Europe, and, you know, we had a 30-day Greyhound bus pass around the US that we thought, let's just travel around wherever we wanted to go.
Wow.
In New York, we went up to Niagara Falls, and then I'm like, okay, let's just go down the East Coast. We caught a bus all the way from Niagara Falls. We actually stopped in Ocean City, Maryland, where Jay's from, and I met his parents before Jay was even with them, and he didn't just stayed there. And then we went to Cocoa Beach, and I said, nope, I'm going back to Jay. So then we caught a bus from Cocoa Beach to San Diego. Jay picked us up. My girlfriend flew home, and I ended up staying with Jay longer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Steve, how was this not adapted for a story on a film?
We are open to all offers, Steve.
I mean, it's a pretty cool story. Stuff like I said.
Not a lot of detail too, but it's a cool story.
Make sure Bradley Cooper plays me.
Olivia needs one for me.
Jay says, I feel your pain about 25 clicks that you need to do to get a photo on live stream. I have no idea what he said.
Yeah, I started and I said, I'm going to end up.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Because that's right, Tony. Because I asked Tony to bring the photos up, and it's a little challenging, but I'm sitting here trying to do all the engineering of this, which most people have their own engineer, and I'm sitting in, and then you want me to engineer your photos too? No. Tony goes, well, you should. I go, no, you should.
You're amazing, Patty.
I know, poor Tony. We had so much fun. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so Steve wants you to do a Hollywood story, and we got hey, Vicki, Jay, and Patty. Good to see you from Randy. Oh, cool.
Andy Reagan, what's up, buddy? Yeah,
cool. So, all right. So we got through. I mean, I know there's so much missing out, but I do want to bring it up into the 90s because this is where I come back and got a chance to be with Jay again. Vicki, sorry, but I was actually Regina, Jay, and Pat Caldwell had contacted me when bodyboarding went under in 91, which was the start of the recession. And I've told people so many times that I literally, this is how much I knew about business. I did not know what the meaning of recession was. I know it's hard to believe now, because of everything we've gone through, but I didn't know what that meant. So you talk about a Forrest Gump. So they're saying, why don't you start a magazine? I go, okay, well, I just learned graphics over at this graphics company, so maybe I will. So, but I need your help. So I remember, Jay, do you remember that living room where I had the like Japanese table and
Yep.
we sat down, and that was the night that we decided that it would be Bodyboarder International,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we took some votes. It was Pat and Regina and you, and I think Kirk Blackburn and George. I don't remember. It was a group of people, and we took a vote. It was all democratically done by bodyboarders that it was going to be called Bodyboarder International. And that was the start. And then I started getting, photos from Brian Beelman and Hank and everybody. And they, I started putting them on the cover shots. But I don't want to talk too much about that, because I just want to tell, the video, the people that are watching, that Jay ended up on 2 of those covers, didn't you? Or was it
one? Was from
the night when I did
wave pool, and I still have it on the wall out in the hallway.
From
the Texas wave pool, the Schlitterbahn.
Okay.
And
because Jay was the one that helped pick the shots, and this is what I said about Pat too. It was still all by vote, So we put the little carousel of slides up, and there's the picture up on the wall. We voted on what would be the cover shot, and I was telling Regina, I've already interviewed her. I said, what's so funny is you guys all came down from San Clemente. I didn't offer you any food, anything to drink, or anything. You just came because of the stoke,
Yeah.
Back on, I go, God, I didn't even offer them some lemonade. And then, like, even Joe Evans said in his video, he goes, we came out to Florida and all these places. We didn't get paid, Patty. And I go, I know. Didn't I offer you? Well, then I look back and I go, wait a minute. You got an airfare, you got hotel, you got meals. Come on, you got your ego boosted, So
sure.
Yeah. But anyway, so now we're up into the BIM era. We don't have bodyboarding anymore. And tell me a little bit about those first few years of the 90s, Jay.
Yeah, so my career as a pro bodyboarder was really starting to take off in the early 90s. I had a good cachet of sponsors. I had some high-profile companies. Obviously, Maury Bodyboards was my marquee sponsor, and I had O'Neill wetsuits and a sunglass sponsor, a watch sponsor. So I had initially moved to California thinking I'd have to get a job to cover my bills, but bodyboarding pretty quickly after I moved to California started paying my bills. So I was doing the US tour. I was consistently in the top 8 on that tour, making decent money and traveling a lot. I had a really good travel fund with Maury, so I was able to go to different places around the world. And wow. Vicki and we had a long distance relationship because she was in university in Australia. So I was spending a lot of time, kind of a couple times a year, going back and forth to Australia, and she was coming over here. But eventually she decided to move over here. But the other good part of this was I was supplementing my income by writing for a lot of the magazines around the world, including Bodyboarding. And I was doing a lot of TV work. In other words, for the U.S. tour, I was their sort of their beach interview guy and occasionally their color commentator. And I would do the contest, and if I lost early, they'd give you the microphone and the T-shirt, and I'd go up and interview guys as they got out of the water. And in one contest, I made the final. Oh, I literally got out of the water, and they handed me the mic to interview the guy that beat me in the final. So it was great. It was like double dipping because I got prize money and I got extra money for being the TV host guy, and I was making money on the side doing the writing for the different magazines. So for me, it was all about promoting my sponsors. I learned at a very early part of my career from Keith Sasaki, who was my roommate, for 2.5 years and kind of my mentor, how to treat being a pro bodyboarder as a business. Yeah. Because I knew it was a short-term career. There was no illusions that it would last my entire life. So I knew I had to maximize those years that I was a pro bodyboarder, like travel as much as I could afford to, take every opportunity that came my way to be on TV or promote my sponsors, because I knew I wasn't the best rider in the world. So I was going to compensate for that by really working hard at keeping my sponsors' logos in the public eye and in the media. And, I became, I guess, kind of known as an ambassador for the sport, which I loved, because, and I don't get me wrong, I wanted to do well in contests, and I did do well in some contests. I ended up in the top 5 on the world tour once that eventually started in the later 90s. But yeah, I really wanted to be an all-around professional athlete, not just some guy that could ride a bodyboard well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, Vicki, now as we get into we're getting into the 90s now. You're getting, with Jay, and so at what point did you decide that you guys are going to actually get married?
So I ended up quitting university to move over with Jay, and as my dad put it, to become a beach bum.
Oh.
So we traveled the world tour together from like 94 to 99. Traveling around the world for photo shoots for magazines and the world tour. And then in 99, he lost his Moray sponsorship and I lost my good Japanese sponsorship. And that's when we decided, let's move on. And Tom Moray gave us the idea.
Money together.
What's that?
You put your money together.
Yeah. And what are we going to do? And Tom Moray said, why don't you guys start an online shop? So we said, let's start.
Unreal. Did you start the shop before you were married, or were you already married?
During it, we started the business April 1999, was it?
Yes.
And we got married in January 99. So it was kind of a process.
Okay.
Before
think about it for just a moment, and those of you that are watching, think about it for just a moment, because that was what, 99? Did you say? Mm-hmm. That was 21 years ago.
No.
And look at where we are online today. Right. It's like I even see all this color and all of us here. And I've been at it 13 years, very rudimentary, but, learning how to bring people in and engineering everything. So we got online. You were so ahead of the curve at 21 years ago. I mean, because... So tell me, Vicki, what was that like business-wise? Did it just, go off, or was it like struggle like some first businesses? How was that?
Well, we sat down and said, well, we got no sponsors. We have to pay some bills. So we figured out, let's just try and make $100 a day.
Oh, good.
And I think Custom X was maybe our first vendor, and we lived in Jay's condo back then. And we had space in the warehouse, so we brought in some
in the garage.
In the garage of his condo. So we brought in a few Custom X boards and what other products?
Well, Viper fins and Custom X. Those were our first 2 vendors.
Oh wow! Yeah. Mm-hmm. Local too. Local.
Yeah.
You could go pick up. Yeah.
Yeah, and I ended up building the website. I taught myself how to build a website.
Wow.
And back then we called it unrealsurf.com because we thought, why do our little niche of bodyboarding? Let's, make it simple. So we can grab all kinds of audience.
Yeah.
And eventually ended up changing it to e-bodyboarding because we are bodyboarders and we thought, that's a niche. So we ended up changing it to e-bodyboarding.
Yeah, and that's a whole broadcast in itself, I think.
Yeah, it is. That was my
21 years of how it, like we could just put photo and chronicle the whole thing, which is so exciting because, there's a lot of people from the time you were on that beach, Jay and Ocean City to, Vicki out there with her brothers and Eppo. It's like so much has gone on, and it's just so amazing that here we sit today with both of you. Of course, we're in isolation, and this will go down as part of my whole, desire to do this was because I'm sitting here, this is a good time to do it. Don't you think? I got people available, and they're not busy. And so now is a good time to chronicle all this stuff. Yeah. So,
timing is a lot of it, Patty. And to follow up what Vicki said, our families, we both came from families that owned businesses, and we both worked for our parents. So that was sort of our introduction to running a business.
Oh,
I worked at my parents' stores. My mom and dad had a bakery and a sandwich shop. Vicki's family had a deer and ostrich farm, and we both worked for our parents. So we sort of got a little bit of that entrepreneurial spirit through osmosis, and our timing was really good because the .com boom was exploding in 1999,
That's right.
and nobody was really doing online only. You know, Alternative Surf already was up and running, but they really hadn't dug into the internet only thing.
Yeah.
We kind of were first in. It was good.
You're absolutely right. That was, you know, in fact, that was the demise of a lot of magazines. If you remember BIM and Pitt, remember, and a lot of them when online went on, it was like, okay, and now you can get, you know, some exposure. So yeah, that was very important time. So that was great that you launched at that time. We've got a comment from John saying it would be nice to get a tour of all the photos on the walls of their office. Such a happy place. Would you be able to do that, Jay? Would you be able to?
Yeah. John is the guy behind Tandem Boogie. If you guys are on Facebook, he has a Facebook page called Tandem Boogie, and he's super amped, man. That guy, he lives in town here, and I mean, he's out there promoting the daylights out of Tandem Boogie. But anyway, here.
Look at that. Let me see that again. That looks like fun. Let me see that.
Yeah, so this isn't John's product right here. He has his own brand.
Oh, it looks like fun.
So yeah, we've been selling these things for like 10 years. It's
nice.
Side by side. But yeah, some classic moments from the past. That photo there is Mike Stewart, Paul Roach. There's me on the right there, and a couple other guys, Noel Albin and John Texter. Old photos from the Maury dinners that we used to have for the
afterwards. Yes.
Yeah, we would do these sort of team dinners, and this was Neiman's in Carlsbad, or maybe this was at the Outrigger Canoe Club in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Well, come check out Keith's socks right here.
Keith Sasaki during his Miami Vice phase. That's Keith.
I've invited him to be on the video chat.
Yeah. So, and on this wall we have autographs from famous bodyboarders all around the world. You've got Dave Hubbard, J.P. Patterson, Mike Stewart's on here. We even have Brian Press, and of course the legend himself, Tom Maury's.
Look at that.
And then over here, I will show you. This is one of my Bodyboarding Mag covers. Can I get this in here? Yeah,
that's awesome.
See that? But here, Patty, there's a host of covers. One of which at the top you may recognize. That one, sorry.
That was a
BIM cover.
Yeah.
She's pointing my finger right. Yeah, that's the BIM cover from the wave pool.
Yeah.
And some of Vicky's cover shots.
A little faded.
Wow.
Yeah, they're kind of faded from the sun. She used to be sponsored by a company called Box, which was an offshoot of Reebok. And Flipper magazine, again, going back to the Japan days when the epicenter of women's bodyboarding was in Japan. So, a lot of cool memorabilia. Oh, by the way, this is Pat, our lobby mascot. He's got one fin on.
That's classic. Well, I'm so you took us on a tour. Thank you, John, for suggesting it, because we talked about it, but that made me realize that, we got to do that.
Yeah. Oh, one more picture I'd love to show you here, Patty, if I may. This is a classic old shot of 3 of the top women bodyboarders of the 90s. And you recognize Vicki. Daniela, that's right. And then on the right side of the photo is Layla Ali. So, and you notice they all have Japanese sponsors.
That's right. That was huge in Japan.
Yeah, and this is a poster of Vicki at a contest that she did in Japan. So,
wow.
So, it was really huge over there in those days. And by the way, we mentioned that first cover shot that I said Aaron Lloyd and I worked so closely on. This was it. This is it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
So, good to see you, APB North America. Right on.
You really brought it all together for those youngsters that have are watching these, the new generation of, so much to the history.
Yeah, I mean, there, it goes back a long time. I mean, bodyboarding is about to reach its 49th birthday on July 7th, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's the 49th birthday of the invention of the bodyboard. That was in 1971.
Oh, yes.
So
yeah.
July 7th, 2020, 49 years.
Oh, yeah. So there's got to be something big for the 50 year. I mean,
I'm sure.
Like
Yeah.
Matt and I were talking about how when you split up the generations, you've got, we got a North America is saying, good to see you guys, the Association of Professional Bodyboarders. Yeah. And also user saying, loving the tour, Jay. That was great, you guys. I'm really glad we did that.
Thanks.
So, yeah, that was awesome. I've never seen your place, so that's great. So now we're up into, we've gotten past the 20-year mark. We've got the last 20 years. So you've been busy with your job. So what... where are we now the last 20 years? What would you say? I know you got into running, but you've had kids. And so how's the last 20 years been?
Well, I'll just give my perspective.
Okay.
We went from full-time pro bodyboarders traveling the world 9 months out of the year. We helped to kind of get the world tour off the ground in the mid-90s. Enjoy the beginnings of the GOB, what was then called the GOB World Tour. And it was like the dream life, and it all came to a screeching halt in 99, right? So it was for me, a really tough adjustment period going from that lifestyle to basically domesticated life, which was sitting in front of a computer, working every day, and surfing my local breaks still, but really not having the money to travel anymore. It literally was like a
wonderful world.
Yeah, they say some of the most stressful things in life would be, changing careers, and getting married, right? And we did both at the same time. So it took me a while to adjust to that. Vicki, I don't know about you.
He's still adjusting.
I'm still adjusting.
Yeah, so there's got to be some highlights, Vicki, in there. There's got to be some kind of like little sweet spots in the last 20 years. I mean,
for sure. I mean, we've lived a blessed life, and kids obviously are a highlight. Maybe our 10th year anniversary at eBodyboarding. Wow, from going from $100 a day that we wanted to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many.
Yeah.
Still,
running this business though. It's taught us a lot. We've learned so much about how to run a business. And when we started eBodyboarding, we thought, how hard could it be to throw stuff up on a website and then people order it and we get the money? Oh, it's so much more complicated than that. You would not even believe it. So we are still learning 21 years later how to run this business, because neither one of us has any formal training of business education whatsoever. So it really is a constant learning process. We have employees, people that we employ, and of course our kids, and we're
not in our garage anymore.
Yeah, we're not in the garage. We have a warehouse. So
wow.
It's just, it's a 365 day a year job. We're always answering emails for our customers. And luckily we've now gotten to a point in our business where we can do some trips again, surf trips, which is to me awesome. I stopped spending money doing the Ironman races so that I could spend it on surf trips now.
You're always going to Indonesia and somewhere, gosh.
Yeah, well, we go to Fiji every year. We do a trip for bodyboarding. We call it the Tavi Tube Tour. That comes up in March. We go to El Salvador in January with Bodyboard Holidays, our friend Rob in the UK, who does bodyboarding trips all around the world. And then we do other trips. Like we went to the BSR Wave Pool in Texas last July.
Wow.
We went to Australia for Christmas and New Year's to be with Vicki's family, but also obviously surf. So we try to fit in at least and we do this reunion trip to Cabo with Scott and Roger and Tony, Sasaki, Cameron, all our old friends from.
Are they going to go down? Is that going to go down this year?
Well, we don't know because everything's kind of shut down. So that one's still up in the air. In fact, one of the guys that was chimed in earlier, Grisha, he lives down in Los Cabos and he surfs with us. So we've made friends with some of the locals down there who are just fantastic people. When we go there, it seems like it was 30 years ago, Patty, because Roger Scott, Tony from that generation, Joe Evans, awesome people from back in those days. But we also meet the local bodyboarders in Los Cabos, and it feels like it did here in California 30 years ago, where you'd show up at a beach and you'd meet other bodyboarders and everybody was super excited because you were all into the same thing. That doesn't exist too much here in the US.
No, it's got to come back to that.
Yeah, but we go back to Cabo and it's like that same feeling over again. So we really hope we can get to go back there again.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really, really awesome. So, so we've spent, all this time going back through all the different times. So now what I'd like to do is have, if anyone wants to call in and ask you guys some questions. Sometimes people, we've answered so many of them, sometimes they don't, but if they want to, they can. And that would be fun just to, see what people want to know about you, because we sometimes think we know what, we want them to hear, but we, in my video chats, it's been mostly just like we're calling and talking and catching up. Not a whole lot of wave shots or anything like that, because it's kind of like the People magazine. We want to know about the people behind these shots, because that cover shot, we didn't know Jay was, chasing down a sponsor, and we didn't know all this stuff. So if you want to call in, you can. If not, you can type in any questions to Jay and Vicki in the chat room and hyphen your name in the back if you haven't registered. That would be really nice. And so I see someone saying Nicaragua. Did you go there, or is that someone calling or coming in?
No, we haven't been there. We'd love to. We actually had a trip planned there about a year ago, and then there was some civil unrest.
Oh, yeah.
The people that we were traveling with all sort of backed out. It was all families with little kids, and they were kind of freaked out. Vicki and I were still keen, but we obviously have some experience traveling to different parts of the world, so we were a little more confident. But yeah, I'd love to get there someday.
Well, let's go start taking it down the future path now.
Yeah,
you're obviously legends. You're obviously experienced. You've got every kind of box you can check off on knowledge or qualifications of doing several things with the sport. So, Vicki, if someone asked earlier if you had $1 million, I guess it was Jim Waxer. He said if you had $1 million or some amount of dollars, how would you get the sport going again? But that's not going to happen. So let's just say organically, how would you start the sport to get reignited? Would you say again?
I'd have to take my experience and go to the roots to kids. That's where the stoke kind of starts. Even for surfers, they get on a bodyboard and you get taken to the beach by your family, when you're little, and grab a bodyboard, and then you get that stoke, and then they become maybe pretty good bodyboarders, and then there's nothing for them. So I think the what are the things that Mary Lee used to do?
Jamborees.
The jamborees, get some of those going again. So a lot of people think that, we need to get the world tour going, we need to do a US tour, but to me, I feel like we need to start with the kids and get them stoked on the sport.
I'm totally with you on that one. What about you, Jay?
To do the tour. Yeah.
I agree with Vicki. The back to the roots. Obviously, that the Maury challenges that you used to do, which eventually became the jamborees.
Yeah.
I got really stoked on the sport through that event, and then I was able to be a part of the jamborees with Mary Lee for many years. and saw new people come into the sport through those jamborees. So it is a super grassroots kind of thing, but it really can, spark that interest in a young person that may be interested in the ocean, but may be intimidated by surfboards. So, get them out there, demo freeboards, and maybe have some pros there to do a demo. I mean, it worked then. No reason it shouldn't work now. The difference is, eventually it became a path for bodyboarders who wanted to compete to move up the ranks, US Tour, World Tour, and so forth. Not so much anymore. There is no US Tour for bodyboarding now. There is a World Tour, but it's constantly on shaky ground. So really, we have to emphasize the fun side of bodyboarding, the ease of use of a bodyboard, and, the fact that bodyboards are so much cheaper than surfboards and safer and all that. So really, just promoting it at the grassroots level, I think.
Joe says, how do you think all the new wave pools are going to change things?
Me personally, I think it's fantastic. People sometimes bash wave pools. Oh, it's not natural. It's, you lose all the mystique of going out and, trying to predict waves. But who cares? It's fun. It's fun. A wave pool is fun. Bodyboarding is fun. Any way to get people out on a bodyboard, I don't care if it's in a wave pool in a friggin' bathtub. It's fun, so let's do it. There's no reason to rip on another form of that, fun. We've been in wave pools and had an absolute blast.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah. So
in fact, it was Apple that got me on the one out in Texas. The guy wasn't going to let me. I don't know if you ever heard the story, but the guy wasn't going to let me on that wave. I was ready to jump in, and the guy goes, I think you better come back tonight because we're going to have a private party tonight. I go, okay. So Eppo was there, and so I'm still kind of a little bit hesitant. And I'll never forget this as long as I live. He says, why don't I jump on, and you jump right on my back?
Yeah.
And I'll take you through the motions of the wave of the Schlitterbahn. And I went, and I'll never forget this. When we biffed it, we both got sucked down that little toilet, that throws you around, throws you back. I'll never forget that. That's my fondest memory of him.
Well, the cool thing about the Schlitterbahn, it was really kind of one of the early wave pools. There was other wave pools before, but it was unique. And Tom Lochtefeld was the impetus behind that project. He is now doing another wave pool project, a totally different type of wave, really modern. And his new company is called Surflock. And in Palm Springs, they are already testing his new wave pool design, and it's going to open to the public in 2021. So
he's the man. He's definitely the man.
Yeah, he is, and he's still as stoked as he ever was about creating artificial waves. And that guy surfs in La Jolla still every day. He's amazing. Yeah.
And that's the future of the Olympics right there too, because it's got to be like a controlled wave like that. Because otherwise, it's the judges. The judging goes out. Judging and competition's everything. So the judges, if it's. Anyway, good question. And now, Vicki, so you said that, we got to go back to the youth and all that. So let me ask you something. How do we do that? Where do we go to do that? Who's going to take over? Because we're all, everyone I'm interviewing is all like, I'm 74. We got in their 60s and their high 50s. We can't do it.
I know. You know what, though? I go back to where I started, and it's the bodyboarding clubs in Australia. They were just started by some passionate people, someone in Coffs Harbour, someone in Port Macquarie, someone in Newcastle, someone in Sydney, someone on the Gold Coast. And it was just a matter of setting up a tent, going to the beach, saying, come on down. Mm-hmm. And, whether it be Steve Barnes in, San Clemente, and then, such and such in the Central Coast of California, someone in Oceanside, someone in Imperial Beach, we set up these low key.
Yeah, that was that's going back to the core. And and I mentioned this almost on every single chat that I do, because he's my man, and that is, Marcus from The Profit, who is the investor. And every company he invests in, he says, if they're wobbly or there's something, we're going back to the core. How did you get this started? What was the stoke at the beginning? We're going back there. And the people are going, no, we've moved on. No, we're going back. because that's what got it all started. And I've been saying that for 10 years and no one will listen to me. And now everybody, because I can't do it. So now everybody's listening. But my question was, how do we motivate them? Where do we get them?
Well, I'll chime in and say that these Facebook groups have really sort of moved in that direction. There's here in California, we got SoCal Bodyboarders, which is run by Steve Barnes. And then there's California Bodyboarders, Joey Gregory. And there's NorCal Bodyboarding. They're all having meetups now.
Yes.
So they do these meetups, and we participate in the SoCal Bodyboarders one at T Street in June every year. And there's like 50, 75 people show up, and people bring their kids.
Yeah.
We do demos at it. We let people demo our brand, Tribe Boards. And so there's sort of a little groundswell. Joey Gregory, who does California Bodyboarders, he has now launched a bodyboard school, which is going to take up in
Newport.
I don't know if it's Newport or maybe it's down
his flyer.
In that area. Obviously, the COVID-19 situation, there's a question mark when and if he'll be able to start this summer. But I mean, he's launching it, and Steve Barnes has had bodyboarding adventures for a few years now, which is a bodyboard school here in San Clemente. So I see it sort of coming back, and Facebook seems to be the epicenter of bringing back the grassroots stoke. So I like to see it. Joey's a younger guy, he's in his 20s. Steve, he's, I think, in his early 40s. Sorry, Steve, if I aged you. I'm not sure. But, these guys are starting to make it happen again. And, hopefully it expands into, demo days and clinics like we had back in the day.
Yeah. So, okay, so that I got off track here with a lot of these comments are coming up as we close it out, because this is it now, folks. So Joe Evans is saying the king and queen of bodyboarding.
Joe, you're awesome, man.
Awesome, yes. And Monk is saying the meetups are amazing. I can't wait till we get back doing them again. I know.
Monk's at all of
it. Facebook has done really well for. I mean, look, we're up on Facebook right now. It's done really well for us, And so Joey's saying, or Tony's saying, way to stir it up. Joey's saying, Tony Prince, way to stir it up. I don't know what he said. I missed it. Oh, I see here. He said, after watching both of you still ripping like crazy, I'm sure which of you would win a heat against each other? What are your thoughts? Well, that's a good question.
Well, I go back to the part where we talked about me sleeping on the couch. And doing it tomorrow is Mother's Day.
Ooh.
I will defer to Vicki being the better of the two of us. Sorry.
Your brother.
That's okay. That happens. We're live on a chat. Okay, so that's good. So it is Mother's Day. That's great. I like that answer.
Yeah. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, especially my mom, Carolyn Reale.
No.
I hope you're on here. You haven't typed in a comment yet.
Well, a lot of these Facebook users could be. It's just, and this is one of the reasons, if you don't mind me just taking a little segue here, because I want to talk about Tribe Boards before we go too. But tomorrow night, Sunday night, I'm having a campfire, and I did this before on Skype, but now we're going to do it on BIM. And what happens is, just like this, 6 people can be in around the campfire. I call it a campfire because you can bring your s'mores if you want. And we're just going to talk bodyboarding. So that's tomorrow night at, I believe I scheduled it for 7. You'll have to look on the thing there, but come on in. The link is there. You just press the link. You come on in. You can leave, whatever. But I think that's going to be fun because I wanted to, I've done it before and they were so much fun. So if someone's talking too much, I can mute them and I can just get out of the picture and let everybody sit around the bonfire. It's really fun.
Cool.
So someone just said, damn, Jay, you just called out his mom.
Jay just called. She said she was going to watch. So I'm saying, hey, Mom, I love you. I hope you're watching.
It says Facebook user, so she didn't register, so that's fine, Let's see. Let's just go through a couple of these. Who would be on Mount Rushmore of the Dropnairs? Ooh.
Yeah, man. I mean, Jack Lindholm is one. There's 4.
Noah.
Jack Lindholm, Keith Sasaki for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Roach.
Paul Roach has got to be 3rd, and we got to pick an Aussie.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can't have all Americans, even though Aka
That's right.
Lyman. a good candidate. But for
Lackey.
me, Matt Lackey is amazing. Dave Ballard, those two. I give the edge only to Lackey because he's a regular foot and I'm regular foot. So
Okay.
yeah. So what did we say? Lackey, Roach, Sasaki, Lindholm.
Yeah, that was a good question. I like that one. There was 805 BBR, which was one of the Yep. I remember going into some of the chats. Was that Sean Manning?
Yeah, that was an uncensored
I know
board on the internet, and I was on there until the bitter end. There was some hilarious.
I'll have to start getting raunchy, but so this is the internet. I mean, when it came out, there's a lot of stuff that just you don't do anymore. But I even like kind of like when we were talking to Scott and Roger and all the partiers out on the East Coast, I want to say, remember the Groms are watching. All right, so
that's right. We got to keep it.
Let's go out with
PG-13, right?
Exactly. Let's go out with a little plug for your board. How did that start? How did you get this board started, Vicki? The Tribe board. What was that all about?
Well, being in business for 20 years, we kind of saw the boards out there and saw what worked and what I liked and what Jay liked. We've had a ton of experience not only writing bodyboards, but selling them too, and just talking to customers. And we thought, you know what, we could do great having our own line of boards.
Yeah.
What would work for women? Jay knows what would work for, big guys, drop knee guys, East Coast guys, Hawaii guys. So we thought, let's start our own brand, and we've come out with an epic line, in my opinion. So it's doing really
That's awesome.
People are stoked on them. So yeah.
You want to share anything to that, Jay?
Yeah, so just like Vicki said, we saw that there were segments of the market that weren't really being addressed. And we thought there needs to be boards for these people. And the ancillary benefit of that is that we wanted boards that we could specifically design that work for us as well. So it all kind of came together. So we did the boards, we did fins, we have accessories. And we actually have our new shipment of the 2020 Tribe line coming in about a week to 10 days. They'll be in with a couple of new models and some new colors on some of the existing models. So we're really excited to get those going. And Tribe is really kind of taken off for us, especially in our local area. Of course, we have a lot of locals riding our boards, and people are discovering our brand slowly but surely.
Mm-hmm.
Tolan, by the way, great fins too. Tolan, I think, uses the Tribe T1 fin, same one I do.
Nice. Well, that's really, really, really exciting. So let's do some final comments, because I knew that we'd go way over an hour, and I'm so thankful for so many people staying tuned and coming in. This is going to be one of the all-time favorites. So what would be your final comments about anything? Just where we're at, Vicki, where we're going.
Keep the stoke.
What's that?
I said, keep the stoke alive.
There you go.
Bodyboarding's coming back. That's my final comment. It's coming back.
Good.
Yeah.
What about you, Jay?
Yeah, I think remember why you started riding waves, because it's fun. So if you paddle out and you're having a bad session, really bring your brain back to why you started riding waves in the first place. I try on our social media to really promote the fun side of the sport. I try to stay away from negative stuff. I do a daily surf report on our Instagram.
Nice.
Story every day for e-bodyboarding. I just want to really perpetuate the love of the ocean and the beach and the therapeutic benefits of getting out in the sun and the surf every day. I truly believe being outdoors, being in the sun, getting that escape when you're out in the ocean away from computers, phones, distractions is so important. It'll, it can fight depression. It gives you exercise. The benefits are infinite. So get in the water as much as you possibly can, and just keep, like Vicki said, keep the stoke alive. The sport is alive as well. Yeah,
great final comments there. I really, really think that we all really, I think this whole time now that we've been isolated has really made us think about a lot of stuff and really appreciate that. I know when they opened the beach, my thing was they said, okay, seniors stay in. And then they said, everybody stay in. I go, okay, now I don't feel so bad. Then they closed the beach off. Or no, yeah, they closed the beach off. And I went down, I put a video of that secret spot one night. And there was like thousands of people out at the spot down here in Southern California. And then the next day they closed it off. And then we could just walk down there. So it's been a combination of, a whole bunch of different things. But, I'm so grateful that you guys took the time to stoke people out, because I will tell you, I get so many comments about bringing, folks like you in, and also a lot of good comments that I missed. Scott Evans saying, I didn't even know he was here, great stuff. And this will be something we can chronicle, forever, because it'll be up on everywhere, YouTube and everywhere, to show how we all got together during the, pandemic.
Oh, may I make a comment, Patty?
Yes.
I want to give my ultimate kudos to you, Patty Serrano, because you were, to me, the first person to promote this sport as the fun activity that we all still love today. Mm-hmm. You have been at the helm of promoting bodyboarding in so many different ways and venues for, what is it, 40? Yeah.
I started in 75, so yeah, whatever that is.
45 years, and you are still doing it. And it's not just this Facebook page. You had a magazine, you had a contest tour, you were doing podcasts of bodyboarding long before anyone even considered that.
Do you remember that?
Folks around the world that may be watching this, you guys, this lady is, I hate modern lingo, da bomb, because I'm too old for that crap, but you are the epitome of that phrase, da bomb. Thank you so much for all you do for the sport.
I'm going to cry. I thank you guys. I really do, because it's been an honor. It's not like, it was a gift. Tom Morey gave me a gift.
All of it.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch that one that I just did last week on the history of my years, this was a gift. And it wasn't just because, it just happened. We had lost touch with each other for 8 or some odd years, Marsha and Tom and I. And how did we end up a block away from each other out of all the places we could have ended up in Carlsbad, California?
Serendipity.
You guys believe in serendipity?
Sometimes. Fantastic.
I know Randy says humbly and awesome. And then your mom, there she is. Aren't they?
Oh, Mom.
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day. I'll call you tomorrow.
That's so cool, Carolyn. And somebody else here, we're clapping for you, Patty. Oh, I mean, this isn't hard. This is not hard. And luckily I got on the internet early, and through my whole career of coaching and business coaching, I was able to coach people how to do this, how to do Twitter, how to do Facebook, all this stuff. So by me getting on early, not only helped my business, but now it helped us getting together now. I can do this. So thank you, Jay and Vicki, and I really appreciate it. And so all of you that have come in, thank you for your nice comments. You're going to be able to see this up on Facebook and YouTube and History Channel and all that. And I'll throw in on the YouTube one, I'll throw in some of those pictures in the edits.
Excellent.
Because one thing we missed, and you said, can I say one more thing, Jay? I got to say one more thing. I don't care if it goes over. We forgot to talk about your career on TV.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We got to save that for another one, because I watch Survivor every week, and every Wednesday night, I think, where's Jay Reale? He needs to be on this program.
That's a whole nother podcast, but I'm still doing stuff.
Well, I want to. Let's do it. Let's just go in. Maybe you can come into the campfire tomorrow night or something. We'll laugh about some of your. I mean, because it is, the one where you got where they were taking the stuff and hitting you, and you were falling off and all that. Oh God, I don't think I laughed. Yeah, game shows. Oh, and his singing. I know. Look, you're looking at Vicki. Are we not looking at one of the most talented people on the earth?
For sure.
You know, so thank you for giving me kudos, but I gotta have to send it right back to you, Jay.
Patty was a singer in a band, Patsy Pink. Let's
Yes, so were you.
YouTube, Patty.
Oh, you were too. So, oh gosh, let's do another one. We got to do another one just on that because we will laugh. I know we will.
Awesome.
So, so again, once again, for all of you that have tuned in today, oh my gosh, like I said, this had gone for hours. But we are going to have the campfire tomorrow night. It'll be on at, I believe, 7 o'clock on BIM channel. And the reason I'm doing BIM channel is because then we can see your names on the comments. This channel, for some reason, will not allow it because of privacy stuff. So anyway, so join us tomorrow night for our campfire and our virtual campfire. Bring your, whatever you want to drink, bring your chocolate and marshmallows and your s'mores, whatever you want to do. And let's talk story. Okay. All right. So we'll see you and talk to you on our next episode.